episode unless something happens. But we have a couple big scenes coming up. We have Soul. We have Colonel Soul. We get to have a long chat with him. We have the UN scene, which is going to be a lot of fun, and we have the re-election. So we'll see how everything goes. I'm just getting the stream set up. So I've had a lot of fun doing this. I'm sorry if I've been like streaming too much lately, but I don't know. I've just been enjoying this, and I kind of wanted to get through the game in a timely manner because this is one of those things that could probably very easily turn into a playthrough that gets stuck in development hell or however you want to describe it, and we just never get anywhere. So that being said, let me just share this to this. Enjoy your channel. Thank you, Blurb Derb. I appreciate that. So I was watching an anime today, The Experienced Me and Inexperienced You, which is about like a thought who goes through a redemption arc. I'll have to do a review on that. Because it's like, is it once a thought, always a thought, or can they be redeemed? And it's a good question. I guess whether or not they got any STDs is a big one. I don't know how common those are in Japan though, so we'll see. Oh. The last time we joined the ATO, we are now allied with America or Arkesia. So because we're allied with Arkesia, we don't have to worry about Rumberg anymore. Because if they attack me, that triggers Article 9, and then it'll lead to World War III. Mercopin Championship Cup. Today, the management of RC Enrica has invited me to attend a pivotal football match. As a board member, I couldn't reject it. I had to be there at this significant moment for my team. They are representing Swordland in the international arena. I couldn't help but feel a surge of pride as Lucy and I headed to the station. FC Enrica was finally in the Mercopin Champion Cup, the most prestigious football tournament in the world. For the first time, a Swordish team had managed to qualify for the knockout phase. Millions of Swordish people were waiting to watch the FC Enrica compete against the legendary Rizian team, Real Montecaler, which is in no way Real Madrid. Despite all odds being stacked against the team, the mood was full of hope. Let's see here. Win today would bring us to the quarterfinals. All of the presidents of Swordland, past and present, are here. I was told that both Sol and Alfonso would be joining me in the lounge reserved for us. This is going to be fun. I'm fine, Lucian. Thank you. I noticed the name of Sol everywhere since I'd been here last. Markets, restaurants, and even pubs named after the Colonel had all popped up. Why is Enrica so crazy about Sol all of a sudden? I noticed it as well. I heard that as part of the ad campaign for Enrica, to draw tourists, or at least soulless ones, to the city. Sol's legacy still lives on for millions after all. Any advice before I leave? You know the guests of honor more than I do, sir. If all else fails, just focus on the match. It shouldn't be difficult. Even the fact you're here will surely help our campaign image. I hope so, Lucian. Okay, behind him, Mayor Curtin Lest and Gus Manager. Let's see here. We're waiting to greet me as well. All of them had FC Enrica pins attached to their collars. Welcome to Enrica, Mr. President. Thanks for being here. This match means a lot to all of us. Honestly, I don't know too much about football, but I'm here for the players of my country. Come on, Mr. President, you own a stake in the club. We got handed gift bags full of FN Enrica merchandise and gave a speech stressing the importance of today's match. He personally thanked me for my investment and told me that it wouldn't have been possible to transfer big names to the club without it. Cool. After delivering his best wishes, he kindly pointed us towards the corridor and told me that I could visit the team before. Okay, I'm gonna give a speech to the team. Uh, Pushed open the door and stepped into the bustling locker room. The players clad in their FC. Okay, the team's new manager Yorgel Glopper immediately came and shook my hand. He seemed to be under a large amount of stress. He invited me to the. He introduced me to the players and invited me to give a short motivational speech. Uh, it's great to be here among all of you. Um, I want to know that millions of you are proud of you for reaching this stage of the Mercopan Cup. Regardless of the result, your achievements so far will not be forgotten. This match is a celebration, an opportunity to showcase the true essence of your craft. Let's take a moment to breathe in the electric atmosphere, to soak in the vibrant energy that surrounds you. As you step onto that field, let go of any lingering doubts and embrace the sheer joy that comes with playing the game you love so dearly. I don't want to see any regrets after the match. You've got to leave everything out there on the field. When the final whistle blows, we want to look back and know we gave it our all. Now go forth, my fellow Anrican warriors, and leave. And win or lose, Swordland is proud of you. Soul did not react when I entered. What do I owe this pleasure, Colonel? Mr. Rain, I didn't hear you come in. He smiled at me and gestured at the vacant spot beside him. Please join me. I didn't expect you to show up today. It's heartening to see you're a supporter of FC Anrica and Sortis Sports. I didn't know you were a football fan. You know I couldn't miss the historic moment. You must have been doing something right for our boys to progress this far. I wish I could say the same for your leadership of Swordland. Tell me, is everything faring well with your new constitution? Uh, are you still sore because you lost? Don't be a fool, Mr. Rain. Such childish games don't interest me. I'm interested in results from this nation. Yeah, Soul. This is where Soul is just gonna like gaslight us. Despite all the warning signs, you adamantly followed your pig-headed version for Swordland, and you are turning Swordland into a puppet for the superpowers to play with. I never thought I'd live to see Swordland invaded by imperialists, especially at the invitation of a Swordist president. I'm warning you, Anton. The path you've chosen will only bring about exploitation and abuse. Tell me more about how you and Lilia's Graf conspired to throw Swordland into its instability. You made the mistake of your career imprisoning her, Mr. Rain. The woman is one of the truest Swordish patriots I ever met. Look, Mr. Rain, it's starting. Okay, under the portrait, the bottom row of boards slowly revealed the words "Welcome home, Colonel." I forgot that you were from Anrica. It's been some time. If it weren't for my name plastered everywhere in the city, I might have forgotten myself. Uh, FC Anrika fans started chanting, "We'll eat you whole" for Colonel Soul. Right after the referee signaled the start of the match, the door behind us closed with a thud. "Welcome, Colonel. How do you feel about being Anrika's new poster boy? It looks like it's working well for the city, and if you move back home, I'm sure you get free meals and drinks everywhere you went." You know, I never had a strong connection to this place. Mr. Lest should have asked my permission before using my name to market the city. Oh, it was actually Gus' manager's idea. Why am I not surprised? He's full of ideas, your Mr. Manager, except when it comes to the job he's actually supposed to be doing. No need to be dismissive. Gus has proven himself time and time again. His work rejuvenated Swordish industries, and without him, Anrica wouldn't be the city it was today. He invested heavily in this city and helped to transform Anrica into a tourist destination. He's the one who saw the potential in football. All of the man's so called accomplishments have been purely accidental. Sol is such a dick, and he just is trying to gaslight you. Like, all your conversations with him are him just trying to screw with you. It's kind of annoying. Let's see. I was in Rizzy a couple days ago to meet with our energy partners. I was happy to find out that the royals over there appear to be in favor of pursuing friendlier relations with us. I still don't think they will do anything to harm their connection with Rumberg, but cooperating with them was the right call. I mean, that's good. Once again, it's generally speaking good to have friendly relations with other countries and trade with them. You're fond of the monarchists now, Alfbald. They must be filling your pockets with Rizian gold. I don't want Swordland to make money. I don't want us to have good relations with other countries. I want everybody to hate us. I want no international trade. Um, I just want like everything to suck because I'm Colonel Soul and I'm just a dick. How can you claim responsibility for once? It is your fault that a giant like Gazprom was brought to the brink of collapse. I'm done ever. Admit it. It was too much of a responsibility for you. A man with your profit focused mentality should never have been given the keys to such a vital sector. To be fair, it's good to see the positive result of our investment. With your strategy skills, you should be a football coach, Colonel. Don't make me laugh. How about you, Mr. Rain? It's been a while since we last met. Is everything going well at the palace? Uh, do I really look that composed? That's good to know. It was bad luck getting a top tier Rizian team as our opponent. I still applaud our guys for giving the best. Not even FC Geshold, Guess Gelsword has come this close to it far in an international tournament. It's not even half light time yet. Enrica can still come out on top. Don't expect that to make sense to him. You're talking to Alfonso. Sure, I'll be a punching bag for both of us today. I'm not really like attacking him. I'm just saying the game's not over yet. That was rough. We heard a noise from above us. A zeppelin was flying over the stadium with a giant poster hanging beneath it. I noticed the advertisement for the Foundation. Um, at the center of the poster stood Edvald Alfonso, portrayed with a warm smile and a twinkle in his eye. In his outstretched hand, he held a whimsical compass glowing with a soft golden light. Surrounding him were people from all walks of life and cultures. The tagline, written in elegant and uplifting typography, was prominently displayed at the bottom. Alfonso Foundation, bringing hope to those in need, one act of kindness at a time. Really? Doing my best to increase our exposure to help the homeless in this country. This isn't some commercial advertisement. I mean, it's 100% a commercial advertisement. Ladies and gentlemen, we bring you a message from the Alfonso Foundation, dedicated to spreading kindness and hope to the less fortunate. Oh, it's really cheesy. Picture a swordland where compassion shines brighter than the stars in the sky, where the power of generosity uplifts those who need it most. That swordland can exist thanks to the Alfonso Foundation. Led by the charismatic and esteemed President Edvaldo Alfonso, this foundation is on a mission to make a difference in the lives of our fellow citizens, one act of kindness at a time. You call this kindness? Every sortish when you donate to the Alfonso Foundation helps us to provide shelter, food, and a chance for a brighter future to those without a home, without hope. You too, Mr. Rain. Um, I thought you would see through this scheme. Just call the number 1-600 Alfonso to make your contribution today. Your support will help us extend a helping hand to those in need. To be honest, I think that ad was a little distasteful. I beg to differ. Alfonso, are you not ashamed? Instead of planning a proper affordable housing program, you're spending your time with crap like this. Is this your personal redemption? Spending a few rents out of your billions and portraying yourself as their savior? Uh, Unlike you, Mr. Soul, I'm not portraying myself as a hero here. I retired from politics just like you did, and now I'm using my clout to help the poor. What's so wrong about this? You know, I never called myself a hero. I never asked for this. It was my supporters who portrayed me as one. Don't spin the truth. Oh, like he's just trying to gaslight you here. No, so you started your own cult of personality. Like it's not even a question. Is it true, Mr. Soul? Are you really denying you ever did nothing to construct a cult of personality? I didn't need to build a cult for myself, Mr. Rain. I built a republic. Democracy. So it was I who controlled each and every member. I was behind every problem you faced within the USP. Do you really believe that? Well, I mean, it's been established there is a massive deep state. So not every problem, but like every other problem. Yeah, Sol probably did that. How'd you get line go up? I don't know what that means. Still remember how the party became divided after you stopped supporting me. It's on them for being blind to the progress we were making. Solas still make up the bulk of the USP today. Everybody is aware of your influence, Mr. Soul. Instead of blaming the party, why don't you take a look at yourselves? The same party has voted me out on their own volition in preference of the likes of you. What a bitch. You know what? I think that's a good way to describe Colonel Soul. He's just such a bitch. Um, like this whole thing is just him crying because things didn't go his way and complaining. And according to you, their only correct decision must have been to elect you as leader, and the rest are completely wrong. Do you think everything is a problem that is specifically created to block you? Well, that's his projection. I mean, you think everything is. Don't act like you're above us all. Kate 1-1. That's a great comeback. We can still make it. Exactly. We can be the underdogs here, but we cannot let the Rizians intimidate us. You're right. Okay. Did you see that? I actually really like this scene. I think this scene is really well written. I think it's cool to have like Sol and Alfonso here. It does feel very appropriate, like when you're near the end of the game, to just kind of have look at how you compare to the people of the from before. Because I normally win this match. I'm not sure what you have to do to ensure that you win. So they lost, but they got to the quarterfinals, so that's good. I got a lot of support. So yeah, so I don't know. Everything seems to be going pretty good, actually. Now we're heading towards probably the most insane scene in the entire game, the UN meeting. It's a council scene. Okay. All the world's most powerful people under one roof. One wrong word and the world will go to hell. High pressure, I know. Just believe in yourself, Anton. From what I have seen, you will do just fine. I love David. David's such a nice dude. Do world leaders actually do this? Yes. Some of this is based off of stuff that happened during the Cold War. Khrushchev did bang his shoe on the table and yell, "We will bury you." For what it's worth, I appreciate all the advice you've given me. Thank you, Anton. He's just such like a grandfatherly figure. I love David. Even if he is kind of a liberal, and I probably disagree with him on domestic policies, he is a good and faithful servant of Swordland, and he's not a snake. Um, Not being a snake in this game is actually a very rare and valuable thing. Mr. Nines opened the session with a short speech. He called the first speaker to the floor. Mr. President, it's always a pleasure to return to this podium. Let's see how crazy this year's session will go. I'm surprised he isn't drunk. When I last spoke here, the message I gave was of encouragement and support to this organization and the vital role it plays. Of all the challenges Eastern Recopa and the whole world has faced since then, one has grown larger and more imminent than any other. So just a side note, because things particular during the Cold War got very dramatic. If you look at like Kennedy's speeches and Reagan's speeches and stuff like that, things got very dramatic. Things got very like over the top. You had like the whole evil empire thing. The difference between now and today is back during the Cold War, that you at least had stuff like the danger phone, like you had direct connections between Washington and Moscow. Even if Reagan and Gorbachev and Andropov and Brezhnev and all those people hated each other, they were at least for the most part willing to sit down and talk and try to like diffuse the situation. They don't do that anymore. If you notice, there's just a refusal to talk to any of the people America considers to be their enemies. and that scares the shit out of me. Like, there's a lot of countries I don't like. I'm not a North Korea fan. I know, like, a lot of people who follow my channel love North Korea. I don't like North Korea, but I don't get why we can't talk to them. I don't get why America can't, like, meet with them, try to come to some sort of deal, maybe invest, build some fertilizer factories or something, buy some of their coal. I don't know, try to just come to some sort of understanding with them. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I think you get a lot of credit for trying. The threat of the so-called socialist states and the actions of their authoritarian rulers. Um, there were yearly summits over nukes. That's true. During the Cold War, like towards the end of it, we had a lot of disarmament talks, which I strongly support. I think yeah, like salt, start, all those things that reduce the number of nuclear weapons, I think was really good. It's an issue I've evolved over time. I actually am for nuclear nonproliferation and gradually reducing the number of nuclear weapons. I don't think mutually assured destruction and the whatever peace it brings is worth the threat that someday something could go wrong or we have a crazy person take over one of the countries and they have the power to destroy the world. So I do think the nuclear de-escalation, the gradually reducing the number of weapons, was something very good, and that was one of the accomplishments I think Reagan doesn't get enough credit for. Emmerich Hagel pounding his fist on the table in protest. Looks like the Chancellor's already mad. David nodded. Today we need to come together as the leaders of the free world, and now important than ever. The Quintana Security Pact, under the leadership of United Quintana, has been fueling Valg's land's military-industrial complex and its expansionist aims in eastern Maricopa. I'm sorry I'm mispronouncing all of these, but a lot of these names are just very weirdly spelled. Okay. I hereby call for the immediate withdrawal of all naval vessels with any offensive capability from international waters. A lot of noise came from the Assembly Hall in response. Most of the Western Maricopan delegates were clapping, while the others either shouted in protest or sat in stony silence. Your policy seems to be a Richard Milhouse Nixon fan. Like, I just think you have to balance heaven and earth. You have to balance idealism with realism. And you have to realize you have to make compromises sometimes and do things you don't want in pursuit of the greater good. And that means talking to people that you don't like sometimes. That means giving concessions for the good of other people. That includes taking a long-term view of some things. And I don't like that modern American diplomacy is just 100% basically ideological at this point. Because I don't think it helps you to do good in the world if good is what you want to do by alienating everybody. Transpire another state with socialist teachings and a state that wages war against its own citizens. I kept listening. The purge of minorities in that country was again largely ignored by the international community. I would go so far as to call it genocide. Whelan violated our past treaties and mobilized their armed forces, deploying them close to our borders and authorizing them to partake in massacres. Lesbia was not only affected by large waves of refugees coming from Whelan, but by subsequent government seizure of all our companies that were active in the country. Oh, Muffin. Oh, Muffin. But shouldn't you be happy? I thought immigration was good. You should be giving Whelan money for doing that. That was not a bad speech. So notice that he didn't come after me over anything. Uh, who's the next speaker? Victor Smollett. I do think the biggest foreign policy failure of the U.S. was I do very strongly believe that when the Soviet Union collapsed, um, America should have taken the opportunity to make a friend of Russia forever. Like, I think America should have authorized massive financial aid, helped Russia up to its feet, provided it with whatever advice and support it needed. And I think the goodwill that could have been generated there and that was lost because they wanted to take a victory lap was a massive mistake. To be honest, I think that was probably the single biggest. Because I do think Russia could have been, and I think in the long run it is probably better because it meant that Russia went in a more conservative direction. But from an American perspective, I do think um, that could have worked. It's like Machiavelli said: you either have to help your enemies to their feet, or destroy them utterly, because men can recover from small injuries and can get revenge on you. So I don't know. I just think that probably would have been a wise decision, but we had to keep saying Russia's the enemy. We can't come to any sort of agreement with them. Victor's a funny guy, indeed a murderous comedian. Mr. President, he turned back to us and started out into the hall for a few seconds. Fellow delegates, it is true that the world faces a multitude of challenges. In the midst of these challenges, the world's most powerful leaders gather here in Kriut. And what do? They make threats, promote hate, and spread lies. Is this the alliance of nations we all want? Where is the cooperation and friendship? Where is the unity? I want to remind you all. Um, Remind you that of the wars that the West fought on our soil, of the foreign troops who occupied our country and seized our valuable resources. I want to remind you how they stole the oil from our sacred soil and how they did not know when to stop. The ATO soldiers left, but their interference never ceased. They financed armed rebel groups whose only purpose is to create terror inside our country. So, fellow delegates, don't you dare speak about Wellhead before you acknowledge your involvement in our civil war, before you acknowledge your own dark past. He is not entirely wrong. I have clear evidence of direct aid from Rumberg to the Bloodish Freedom Front. Uh, so Wellen is Iraq, but with a Polish flair, if that makes sense. So like everybody from there has Polish names, but Victor is based off of Saddam Hussein. These documents will be published elsewhere. Copies have already been sent to the investigative affairs of the Alliance of Nations. I expect this organization to do its task and investigate this properly instead of leaving Welland behind as they have always done. Coming back to the claims of lesbian representatives, first, there is no evidence of civilian massacres by our forces, nor the so called purge of minorities. Second, the operation was limited only to the militant BFF, not the Bloods in general. So, something in this game is, in a lot of cases, um, you will have a country that's based on one country, but has the cultural aspects of another. So, Rumberg, I believe, is mostly based off of Tsarist Russia, but everything has British names. So, it is this, like, third world superpower that's not aligned with either the democratic West or the communist East, and is an absolute monarchy, but is it is kind of Russian-esque because it's this massive country, but once again, it's not exactly. Free Wellin or death. The assembly roared with particularly loud applause coming from the seats of Rican nations. He seems to be popular with Rika, doesn't he? Well, he's played the victim here pretty strongly, and his anti-imperialist stance has definitely earned him sympathy from Rickans. I'm guessing Rika is Africa, is what I'm going to guess. Most of that continent has still not achieved stability after gaining their independence from their colonial suzerains. So, kind of because we're not going to get this, if you get basically blown out, like you lose the election, get expelled from your party, and basically live the rest of your life in obscurity, you write an autobiography that's called Suzerain. So there is a reference to the title at one point. Martin van Houten, Horten. He looks pissed. Can you blame him? His navy is being harassed by Valgsland every day now. Mr. President's fellow delegates of the Assembly and friends, it is an honor to be with you today. I wish we could be meeting under different circumstances. Once again, the CSP nations, in particular Valgsland, have shown us what they are willing to do to achieve their aims. Yeah, like Valksland is based off of Britain, but I think it has German names. I must first thank the delegates from Swordland for being brave enough to recognize our claim when the rest of the world left us alone. We're the first of the we were one of the first countries to propose proper cooperation among Eastern Mercopan nations. Yet when we are threatened by nobody came to our side. Although Mr. Alvarez voiced his indirect support from us earlier in today's session, I can't keep myself from wondering where he was when our fleets were under attack by the very socialists he spoke about. So I'm here asking for the support of the fellow member states of the Alliance of Nations. Agnolia is under attack by Valgsland. No, I mean the island. It's everything's not a direct one-to-one comparison. The island they're fighting over is based on Cyprus, but they're not exactly the same thing. As you all know, our drilling ships, oil tankers, and even fishing vessels have been disappearing in the Marquian Sea, captured or sunk by Valgsland. And the Valgslandian flag is patrolling the seas around Hedgeland with complete disregard to international laws. I call on the Alliance of Nations to find a resolution to this never ending conflict that Valgsland created. We demand the immediate withdrawal of all naval forces from our territorial waters. Uh, Melanyevis terror surrounds us on all sides. How does it surround you on all sides? You're bordered by Rumburg and Swordland. I mean, Rumburg are assholes, but they're not communists, and my country's certainly not communist, especially since we joined the NATO. You are a spineless jerk, a lackey of Archesan imperialism. Mr. President, point of order. The Chancellor has no right to intervene. Buckle up, it's the Chancellor's time now. It looks like you're having fun, Mr. President. First of all, I want to extend a due welcome to the new states from Rika that have joined this organization. After fighting for years against colonialism and imperialism, they more than earned our membership vote. I am overjoyed to see them finally represented in the assembly. As our numbers grow and more states are represented in this stage, we come closer to finding resolutions to the conflicts that plague us. Wouldn't it just I don't know, exploit the continents of Rika, and Zina? So I guess Zina is Asia. Sadly, Volksland was also part of this plunder in the years before the revolution, when it still clung to the idea of imperialism. But when our masses found their voice, the old colonial powers and their financiers turned against them. These powers did whatever they could to hamper our revolution. They did not want the people to be heard. They're scared of us for showing the possibility of a better path. Of course, they don't want us to succeed. We threaten the productivity that runs on the blood and sweat of the working class. Now they have started labeling us the aggressors, yet we all know the Archesians who built up military bases around Mercopia. It was the ATO that was first formed to fight against communism. Territorial waters and threat from others. The delegates from Lesbia and Agnolia brought up the Felenco Treaty, but what were they doing when NTO forces patrolled whatever? They were silent. Agnolia has no right to claim they are upholding liberty and democracy, and the ATO has no right to intervene in matters between Agnolia and Valgsland. Just as no other country in the world has the right to determine what type of naval vessels we use, no country can enforce us to not defend our seas. Let's see here. Well, human rights violations. Queen Beatrice Livingston. Dear President of the Assembly, dear delegates, dear leaders of the world, just as my fellow Eastern Mercopan delegates spoke about the troubles plaguing our continent, I also have to bring attention to the plight of the people of the North. The Alliance of Nations, the ATO, the CSP, and even the OMEC have never supported our people when they've been through tragic atrocities. What are you talking about? Unlike many of the Western countries here, we never received financial aid when natural disasters struck our lands. The pain of our people was never recognized, not even when they faced genocide by the hands of the Swordish kings. In light of all that, I implore this alliance to take a closer look at the actions of our southern neighbors. They took in traitors and gave them protection. The president came to power amid murder and unrest, yet people from his administration had the guts to blame our government for inciting violence, and they expect the world to believe their lies. Swordland closed their borders to innocent bloodish people fleeing from being massacred by Wayland. Inside their country, they killed hundreds of bloodish people. Oy vey, it was 100, it was 200. They killed the 200 people who were occupying the dam and threatened to destroy it and cause widespread power outages throughout the whole country. It's so evil and racist. Okay, good luck, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President, fellow delegates. The speakers who have preceded me expressed their concerns about their problems. We too are concerned about this. Let's see here. Expand on some of them. Uh, it was claimed earlier that Wellen was involved in a genocide. Such strong words shouldn't be spoken without proper evidence. Uh, I have to admit the operation resulted in many unnecessary deaths. I'd also like to expend my support to Mr. Van Horden. Um, Swordland stands together with Agnolia and will keep its stance against Vigslildi and aggression. Swordland will do whatever it takes to achieve peace. Peace, you can achieve nothing. You're a puppet of Arkesia. Swordland has always wanted to have peace between our nations, yet we are threatened by Rumburg. We were diplomatic even when you shot down our plane. We only want peace. Peace in Rakopa, peace in the world. That is a reference to Ataturk's expression, peace at home, peace in the world, when he was describing his foreign policy. Well spoken. Thank you. How was it? It was not a bad speech, Mr. President. You did well. President Nines announced the next speaker, Dwight Walker. Mr. President, first, I want to congratulate you on your election to this high office. Fortunately, we have America by our side, so it's nice to have a superpower as your BFF. It's very troubling to see the democratic nations of Mercopa threatened by these communist powers. Okay, they are harassing other nations and hampering international trade. Is this not an attack against world peace, an attack against the free trading nations of the world? If we fail to counter this threat, if we stay idle and allow them to surround us with their war machines and blockades, if the attackers do not face any consequences, then this unstable peace we believed we had built will be the world's downfall, and prosperity will point its finger at us for not stopping it. Posterity, sorry. Uh, Emmerich Hagel took off his shoe and was banging the table with it. The Chancellor's gone mad. It's getting ridiculous. He's not even ashamed at his age. Despite its claims, the CSP's actions will only bring about war. Yet we still believe United Kantana and Arkesia can come to an understanding for our mutual benefit and our desire to avoid destruction of the world. We believe that all of the people of the world must be free to choose their own future. No country has the right to impose values on others. Silence, please. The The speakers who preceded me clearly showed tensions arriving. The reports from Wayland and Swordland are troubling. Arkesia and the ATO will stand against the aggression of Rumberg. They are playing a dangerous game, one that may bring ruin to Mercopa and their own lands. I believe the Alliance of Nations could find a resolution to this conflict. I'll let it be known that Arkesia will stand together with Swordland. Rumberg cannot do as it pleases. Do you think Rumberg can pursue more aggression after that statement? I doubt it. With our membership in ATO and Arkezia's clear support, the Queen needs to be crazy to try to do anything. Okay. Okay. Stand up and applaud his speech. Okay, so Trotsky is going to speak last. Leon Melniev, I cannot pronounce that, whatever the fuck that, however that's pronounced. Honorable Chairman and fellow delegates of the Alliance of Nations, here we are at the most esteemed meeting of state representatives in the world. However, increasingly we are being threatened, disregarded, attacked, or ignored in this assembly. The representative of Arkesia has just shown this unfriendly attitude towards us again. Arkesia would have you believe we are standing in the way of lasting peace, yet the peace they talk about was only possible thanks to our missiles and our growing base in the developing world. The ATO kept waging wars against the people's revolutions and forcing new independent states to be their puppets, binding them to themselves through the Arkesian lira. Let's see here. Have you ever accepted our invitation to talk about denuclearization? If you don't like us, don't accept our deals, don't listen to our concerns, and keep pointing fingers at us. Why did you invite us to the Alliance of Nations? Okay. History is on our side. You can keep laughing, gentlemen. Communism will bury you. Yeah, I thought it was a good speech, even if, tensions are too high. It's quite scary, to be honest. We need to be careful. So I think that went decently well. America publicly supported me. So. Okay, Alliance of Nations session. Let's see what's left. ATO modernizes Swordland's Air Force. Okay, cutting edge bombs, radar. The Air Force is doing great. That's cool. Election poll results. The election drawing nearer, our staff at the Maroon Palace have conducted election polls across all Swordland. Our polls show that around 38% of Swordist citizens would likely vote for the USP in the upcoming election. Okay, yeah, that's really bad. How did it go down that much in such a short period of time? I don't know if we'll be able to win re-election at this rate. Although it might actually be higher than it was. Oh, right, we still have the debate. There's still a couple more things I can do to slightly increase this. Let's see. Oh, here we go. News. I'm gonna keep it. I don't think I'm gonna lose the election. Even if I lose the election, I don't think I'm in that much trouble, to be honest. Private meeting with David. Mr. President, may I come in? Yes, David, please come in. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Anything for you, David. Want to ask how you're doing. I'm fine, thanks for asking. That's very good. Please be sure to take some time for yourself amid all of this. If you ignore the mental fatigue, it will surely creep in on you. It will poison your thoughts. Thank you for your valuable advice. Thank you for taking my advice over the years. What a privilege for me. I had the chance to watch my student grow into a fine and strong leader in my lifetime. What a privilege indeed. Have brought reforms to Swordland. You, my student, actually did it. You don't know how proud I was to be alongside you. It wouldn't have been possible without you. You are too kind, Mr. President. I overheard a conversation near a newspaper stand. It piqued my interest, so I kept listening. They were talking about you. They were calling you a radical centrist. Based. All right, that is that is cool. So, government's radical centrism. That is that's cool. What do you think of that? They weren't wrong. I am a centrist. My father, Arthur S. Wishy, used to say, always know yourself. It's good to know that you do. The elections are approaching fast. How you feel, what your chances are. I can't say for sure, but I'm hopeful. Good, that is what a leader should say. I'm afraid of an announcement to make for you. Go on. After the term is done, I will be retiring. I would be lying if I said I wasn't expecting this. I have been in this line of work for many decades now. I swore an oath to myself years ago. I would quit if I ever felt like I didn't have the physical capacity to serve anyone. At that point, I'd become a hindrance. The time has come, Mr. President. Uh, you've been a mentor, a teacher, a friend. Thank you for your service to this country. It's an honor, Mr. President. David still have to leave. I'm going to give him a hug. I kind of wish I could, like, there was some award or medal or something or title I could give him. Uh oh. Good evening, Mr. President. I'm here to let you know I will be handing you my resignation shortly. Your resignation was the meaning of this, exactly what it looks like. I'm resigning from my position of cabinet. I simply cannot go on anymore after what happened. But why? What are your reasons? I suppose I owe you an explanation. Even though you acted against the epidemic which saved millions of swords, I cannot and will not stand with your abuse of power. The things you did behind closed doors shook me to my bones when the news came to my knowledge. You have your, you may have your reasons, Mr. President. This is for the greater good, but the same line of reasoning will simply lead to more atrocious actions. I will hand you my resignation once the turn is done, Mr. President. I have no choice but to accept your resignation. So did only one minister resign? I guess only one minister resigned. I mean, I guess one of them is in jail, so there's that. Marcel Cronty endorsed me. I'm still on good terms with him. To sway both conservative and reformist voters while also trying to attract new undecided voters. Kate Scheiding while expanding the potential voter base. See if there's any more news. Okay, the Republic of Agnolia has officially put forward a bid. That's a spelling error there, guys. You might want to fix that one. To join ATO, it is likely they will be entering the Arcasian sphere as President Walker has tentatively accepted their bid to gain more foothold against CSB. Okay, so that's cool. So Agnolia, who's already we have good relations with, is also going to be part of the ATO. So it looks like this entire port of the continent is just going to be ATO aligned. Lespia is ATO. Is Riziel ATO? No, it's not ATO. Grand Duchy of Palace. Ellen. Okay, dinner at home. How was school today? He's really getting into his army training. Is Swordland really won by a bunch of weaklings? It's complicated. I know that the past 4 years have tested our strength as a family. I know I hadn't been there for either of you as much as I should have. I hope someday we can. I hope to make it. I can make it up to you someday. Once this election is over, I'll be taking you both on holiday. Anton, I think should quit politics, not just drop out of this election, but retire. What? Why? I don't think you belong in government. And every day, you stay there gives your opponents more chances to smear your reputation and ours. They've been making fun of me at school because of you, Papa. You being president. Getting very. You guys may have noticed I'm getting very mixed messages about the ongoing election. I mean, I'm term limited theoretically, so I only have to serve once more. Main focus of the election campaign, we're going to pick the military. Okay, we have the presidential debate. Check your reflection. I didn't remember all these wrinkles being there 4 years ago. Have a seat. Okay. One can only hope. Okay. Well, pleased to welcome all candidates to the 1957 Swedish presidential election. To my left is Anton Rain, the incumbent president of Swordland. Victory is close. Franz Richter, leader of the PFJ. A new era of freedom and justice is about to begin. Kibner, the leader of the NFP. Victor, Great Swordland. Manson Licky of the Bloodish Workers' Party, formerly an independent assembly manor. Uh, okay. Dennis Stoller of the Communist Party. The year in prison hadn't dulled his edge, quite the opposite. What will be your first priority? What will your first priority be when you take office? President Reid has pointed us in the right direction, but only the PFJP can transform Swordland into a true democracy. Okay, as president, I would crack down on the enemies of the state who are tearing this country apart. Separatists, militants, foreign agents, criminal cartels. We shall show them all the meaning of swordless justice. This simply proves the point I was about to make. Swordlet is not as free as long as its women and minorities are still discriminated against. Only once we dismantle the mechanisms of oppression can we begin to move forward as a country. And of course, the number one mechanism of oppression is capitalism. Okay, let's move on. President Rain. You have already pledged to make the military a focus of your second term. Would you care to elaborate on that? Budget constraints during my first term meant the military went underfunded. I regret that now. Tell us what those is. Um, find out once I get reelected. Very well. Now with the recession no longer a threat, how will all of you bring the Swedish economy forward? With all due respect, that isn't a priority for my party at the moment. I like how he doesn't care. He's just like, I don't care that the country's economy is doing well. I don't care that unemployment's down 10%, that inflation's down to 2%, that living standards are up. Because part of communism is not caring about the working man. A comprehensive program of tax incentives for small businesses. I mean, I did that literally. Um, I will implement a market economy in Swordland with state intervention as necessary to ensure the free market produces close to its theoretical potential, which is exactly what I did. Uh, um, well, my recovery was just the beginning. The threat of recession is over, but I will not rest until every sword can enjoy the fruits of our recovery. Thank you, President Rain. Would you maintain the international alliances President Rain has formed? Franz Richter, of course I would. I can't believe we were ever in the same party. Don't give a damn about us. Okay, arm in arm with our socialist brothers. Our socialist brothers and sisters. Sure, that point is. Let's move on to the next candidate. Let's say nothing. Of course, I would advocate for staying on good terms with Arkesia, but Swordland's strongest ties must be to our tribal cousins Vaguesland and Agnolia. Together we conquered the lands of Rum so many centuries ago, and together we who are pure of blood will rise up and reclaim this continent. Meme. Women across Swordland have been marching for equal rights throughout the Reign presidency. Do you plan on addressing their demands? I'll stop you right there. These radical demonstrations hardly represent a minority majority. The only thing ladies truly want is a peaceful home life. Until women have the same rights as men, peace is not an option. I'm just gonna not offer any. I'm gonna take a conservative point. This brings us to my next question. What about the status of Swarland's minorities? I was speaking about the Bloods. Uh, I have no problem with the Bloods community as long as they make an effort to integrate into Sorter society. I'll spare your viewers another of the NFP's racist tirades. Xenophobia is still alive and well in Swordland despite the president's best efforts. I will work with the Workers' Party of Bloodia to ensure that the bloodied people get the equal stats they've been denied for so long. Say nothing. I will respect what the people of Swordland decide. Uh, the mere fact that you had to ask that question is proof that Swordland is far from the democracy it must become. Surely this is disrespectful question to ask a sitting president. The leader of Swordland shall stay in power for however long its people and God's will. If there is a God, you will never become president. Okay. A new day began to dawn. We will not abandon what we started. Okay, so let's see. All right, it's time for the results of the election. Let's see if I won or failed. Okay. Sometime later. Well, let's see the results of the election. Oh, election speech. Okay. People of Swordland. Uh, Today, the future belongs to the people. The future belongs to Swordland. I welcome you all. I've counted on Lucian Galade's calm and calculated judgment in these difficult days. I'm fortunate to have such a great man by my side. Um, okay, my greatest thanks comes out to all of you who came here today. You were the backbone of this campaign. Your noise is shaking the whole country. To finally put Swordland first. Okay, we overcame economic instability. I made law enforcement the focus of my administration, and our country is safer and more secure because of it. We improved rural health treatment substantially by hiring health staff and upgrading equipment. We built new rural schools and increased access to education. In the face of foreign intervention and internal militants, we enacted new security laws and eliminated the threats. By establishing the Free Trade Commission, we ensured healthy competition so that our citizens can buy higher quality products for less. One of our historic achievements was to pay off all student debt. We erased it completely. The crowd was cheering President Rain. As a new member of the ATO, we will be walking towards the future with more confident steps together with our allies. They're yelling 4 more years. We have made great progress. We are making progress, and there's still a lot more to do. This is what I need your. This is why I need your help. Let us build a bold, prosperous, and forward-looking swordland, a united swordland. Together, we have been building our dream of Swordland, the great Swordish dream. The day in this square, that dream is renewed. Vote Rain. God bless Swordland. Raise your fist. Okay, let's see here. How's the election gonna go? The United Swordland Party came out as the winner again, securing your second term as president. Victory had come. The National Front was now the second biggest party in the assembly, leaving the PFJP to be the third. In a historic success, the People's Front coalition got both the Workers' Party, a bloody, and the Communist Party of Swordland into the assembly as its fourth political force, who declared that morning had come. Because the Constitution was easier to amend now, most of the opposition came forward with proposals to review further reforms ahead of your inauguration. Many citizens were also starting to sympathize with rejected further amendments. You worked hard to reach the potential of the Swordish Dream. With a sense of duty to your nation, um, you worked hard, sacrificing all your time, your sleep, even your soul. Thanks to your efforts, Swordland became a stronger and better place to live for its citizens, and you heard them cheer your name. You smiled. You knew you did deserve to be praised more than anyone else for the success. You needed more power to do any better. Okay, oh, okay. So Frank got married young and had kids. Based. Okay. Victory was here. Chief Justice Hawker stood next to you and said, "Please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will execute the office of the presidency of Swordland." Okay. So we got um, we got a lot more capitalist and a lot less soulless than I thought we would be. I normally wind up somewhere around here. I'm not sure if I just did different choices this time. So let's see where everybody else is. So Alfonso is down here. Um, Mansum Lecky is down here. Bernard Circus is over there. Yeah, so authoritarian left is Sol and Lilius. Um, yeah, Gloria Tori, Kesaro and Remus are all in the authoritarian right category. Those guys are all liberals. That guy. Oh, they're the Swordish Workers' Party. So let's see here. History will remember you as a Swordish capitalist. I'm just going to take a picture of that. 2.2 million people found a job. 81% fewer maternal deaths were recorded. 99 police officers and 640 Bledish militants were killed in firefights. 18,000 people arrested for their suspected ties to Red Youth. 86,000 soldiers became unemployed. Okay, investigations were launched on 311 state officials. 11,300 domestic violence cases. 13,000 new businesses. Okay, 51,000 newspaper articles were censored. And there we have it. We finished it. As you can see, a lot of the team was Turkish. So we finished democracy with Argent characteristics. We're actually less authoritarian than I thought we were going to be, or at least less soulless. I was trying to kind of make the society more of a one-party state, but do it in kind of a subtle way. Like, we kept the electoral threshold, we kept unfair election funding, we centralized the media, um, controlled the media into the office of the president. I would probably, I might vote to remove term limits in the second term, or maybe what I might do is give myself a member of honor title and rule from behind the scenes after my second term, like Colonel Soul did. But I think overall we did a good job. We maintained conservative social policies, whereas improving living standards and growing the economy. So I don't really think you can ask for much more than that. So thank you to Torpor Games and fellow traveler. I hope you guys enjoyed this Let's Play. God bless Swordland. Victory is at hand.